Hey guys, this is Alexis, and today we'll be talking about the 16-ounce Cleto Reyes training gloves. So, Cleto Reyes started his company in 1938 after his first amateur fight. Although he did great, he learned quickly boxing, was not for him. He did not like getting hit. Cleto Reyes gloves were used for a world championship fight for the first time in 1945. These specific models are the hook and loop Cleto Reyes 16 ounces, technically 16 ounces. We'll get into that later. So for those of you that know, or those of you that don't know, Cleto Reyes training gloves are notorious for being off weight by a significant amount. And it's important to note that this is only on their training gloves, not their pro fight gloves. I do have the Pro Safe Tech 10 ounces, and those are perfectly on weight on 10 ounces. So these are extremely off weight. The left glove is actually 18.910 ounces, and the right glove is 18.420 ounces, which is significantly overweight even for training gloves. Now, where these gloves certainly excel is in their superior craftsmanship. These are made of 100% genuine leather. These are extremely tough and will last a lifetime if taken care of properly, meaning cleaning them regularly and airing them out. The stitching is amazing with no pops in the seams, except for, well, one little pop right here, but that's really not noticeable. And even if there is, the gloves hold up perfectly. I mean, it's double stitching, so they're not going to fall apart, anytime soon. The black version come in a two-tone design, or at least, this one with the inner thumb and the inner thumb piping was white, and the rest of the glove is black. Now these do have perforated holes here in the thumb, meaning so there's a little bit of ventilation, so your hand can breathe a little bit when you have these gloves. And there is also 4 little holes right at the palm, which is hard to see, but they are there, and that does help with breathability of the glove. The Velcro is extremely durable. It's about 3 inches wide, and it's very tough, very strong. It doesn't feel cheap at all. The design flaws are really just something that is person by person, case by case. In my situation, I have had hand problems ever since I started boxing, and for some reason these specific model they're just been the worst on my hands by far. I get almost instant knuckle pain when I put these on and hit the heavy bag or the mitts. It was worse in the beginning. Now after breaking them in, because these do have a break-in period, most Cleto Reyes, all Cleto Reyes training gloves will have a break-in period. It did feel better after a while, but I still get that knuckle pain. And so the weight of the glove could be seen as a design flaw, but that depends on you. The fact that each glove is 2 to 3 ounces overweight is extremely noticeable when you're hitting the bag or the mitts, or even sparring if you choose to with these gloves. You do feel that weight difference when you put on true 16 ounce gloves. The hand compartment is rather large in a way, well, compared to 12 ounce Cleto Reyes training gloves, which I do have a lace up version, and those actually prefer, and those actually feel nice on my hands. They don't hurt my hands for some reason. One of the things is, with that larger hand compartment size, your hand can slide around a little bit, which is not really recommended or preferred, since it kind of takes away some power and the impact when connecting with the bag or mitts. The cuff is rather long, but I actually prefer that over the shorter cuffs. There are gloves that have really short cuffs, and some people buy those, but again, some of those are Muay Thai gloves, with people not realizing they're buying Muay Thai gloves, since they look very similar to traditional boxing gloves. But the cuff does come up pretty high on my forearm, leaving only about 3 inches from my elbow to the end of the cuff. The purpose of this glove is strictly for training. Now, it can be used on a heavy bag, mitts, and technically sparring. On the heavy bag and mitts, they work great, especially if you want to work with heavier gloves and build power. Sparring, on the other hand, is technically okay. You should always spar with 16 ounce gloves and up, And these are 16 ounces, but these in particular I personally would not recommend for two reasons. First, Cleto Reyes training gloves are extremely dense, meaning they are very stiff and have tough padding. So when you use them, your sparring partner is not going to like it. I've personally sparred against somebody that had that used 16-ounce lace up training gloves from Cleto Reyes, and man, that hurt. And he wasn't punching hard. Even when he wasn't punching hard, you can still feel it. You feel those shots. I mean, that's just really preference. I don't spar in Cleto Reyes gloves just for my sparring partner, just so I can put a little bit more power and not hurt them or not give them so much impact. And the second reason I wouldn't use these specifically in sparring is the fact that these are Velcro and not the lace-up version. I only use lace-ups for sparring. You can use Velcro, anytime as long as 16 ounces. I say only use Velcro if you're going to do some light sparring where when you're not getting intense, or if you're just moving around, working on combinations with your sparring partner, working on head movement. Velcro's fine, but the Velcro can cut your partner's face if you miss, or they move their head. Maybe they're not wearing headgear, or they're wearing open face headgear. Can cut them on their cheek or their chin. So I would use lace ups if you're gonna do a training gloves, Cleto Reyes 16-ounce training gloves. So let's do a little comparison to some other gloves. So the first glove we'll compare is one of my favorite gloves just overall. I mean, I use it only for the heavy bag because that's what it's designed for, but it's the Rival RB11 bag gloves. Now these are strictly bag gloves, so you wouldn't be able to use them in sparring for two reasons. One, they're extremely dense. They're only about 13 ounces, and they have this embroidered Rival logo, which is bad. I mean, you just can't do that, because that you will cut up your partner with that. The next glove to compare is the Venom Hammer Pro, which I recently got, and they quickly became one of my favorite gloves. These are both puncher style gloves, meaning the padding is dense. I mean, you can also have a puncher style glove with softer padding, but you feel the impact, the feedback, the pop. You hear that pop on the bag and on the mitts with the Hammer Pro and the Cleto Reyes. The Cleto Reyes do seem to have an edge in the fact that they are more well built than the Venom. So I think the Cleto Reyes will last much longer than the Venom Hammer Pros. The last glove to compare to for this comparison is the winning 14-ounce training gloves lace up. These gloves are basically just polar opposites of each other. They both excel in their own way. The winning have a much softer padding, which feels great on hands. Although something to note is there is a break-in period on both these gloves, and your sparring partner will much rather prefer you using winning over Cleto Reyes. But the price tag is significantly different, with about $200 to $300 discrepancy. You won't feel the same pop with the winning, but you can hit the bag and your sparring partner pretty much as hard as you can. It's gonna feel way different than using Cleto Reyes. You put some more power in there, and with that softer padding, it won't do as much damage. So here's a demonstration of the glove. You can really hear the pop on the gloves when hitting the bag. I do feel the weight, and they're definitely not 16 ounces, but that it is good for if you want to work with heavier weight to build some power. On the mitts, they feel great, but they also feel very bulky, which makes it difficult to connect cleanly. Now, even with the fact that they're not my favorite gloves, honestly don't really go to these gloves whenever I go train, but I still do highly recommend these gloves. They are made of genuine leather. I mean, they're gonna last forever. They offer great protection, and they look really nice. I mean, the Cleto Reyes logo, that's just really iconic, and it looks like a really professional, well-made glove. Now, some places to buy these I actually never buy them, or I've never bought Cleto Reyes directly from their website, either the Mexican website or the USA Cleto Reyes website. These specific ones I actually got on Facebook Marketplace, and they were basically new. The person didn't use them. He actually had an accident, tore his shoulder, so he wasn't able to box anymore, and he had just bought them. So I got a good price on these. Other apps or other places to buy them is something like Mercari. There's OfferUp. There's Amazon. In Amazon, you can find them a little bit cheaper, depending on the weight and the color. And of course, if you have Amazon Prime, you get free shipping. But I recommend getting them in those places. And you can buy used gloves, just depending on the condition. Since these do last a long time, getting used Cleto Reyes gloves isn't really ever an issue, unless they're badly beaten and torn and obviously not in good shape. But other than that, these are, great gloves to get anywhere you can get them at a reasonable price. All right, so that does it for this video. I want to thank everybody that's been watching all my videos. There's only 4 right now. I had other projects, other priorities, other things that I was focused on the past 6 months or however long it's been since I've uploaded. But I do plan on uploading at least once a week, getting different types of gloves. I have a lot of gloves that I have used a lot and have a lot of knowledge on. And eventually try to do some other stuff on this channel, like boxing review, matches, upcoming matches or previous matches, fights coming up, maybe also in other kinds of sports. I know UFC is starting to get bigger. I want to thank everybody for watching and subscribing and sharing these videos, and subscribe to the channel and follow my Instagram at Alex's Boxing Channel.